Good evening. Welcome to the August 10th, 2021 Murrysville Planning Commission meeting. Would please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Morrison, you take, or Patty, somebody take the roll.
Mr. Lemke?
Here.
Ms. Hoy?
Here.
Mr. Meidel?
Here.
Mr. Patrick?
Here.
Mr. Olszewski?
Here.
Mr. Kearns? Mr. Levecki?
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. We have need a motion for approval of the July 13th.
Mr.
minutes.
Chairman, I did read the minutes and they're fine as presented.
Okay, can I have a
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
There's a period for public comment on the agenda. Does anyone have anything they wish to bring to the attention of the Planning Commission that is not on the agenda this evening? No? Okay, no public comment. Okay, we get into the business portion of the meeting.
New business or old business?
I don't know, which you think we ought
I
to do?
think we have to go with old business.
Oh.
He put me up to that.
Okay, old business, a discussion concerning the proposed rezoning of 5 properties located at 4725, 4765, 4769, 4771, and 4785 Old William Penn Highway. This would be a rezoning request from the MU to B district. Mr. Morrison provided the Planning Commission with a memo and a little map showing all the properties.
We should get that map up so the public
Yeah,
can see it.
Can you,
I'm trying. My computer isn't working here.
well, one of the things that was surprising in there, I guess the Standard Bank has been purchased by
Dollar Bank,
Dollar Bank. They'll be vacating the building.
correct?
Is there nobody has any plans for it yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
But it will not be a branch bank, obviously.
No, I would not think so.
I spoke to Dr. Lancona, who called me today. He says he's in favor of, his is the only one of those buildings that is not going to be not used. It's not going to be a cessation of the use. But he's okay with the rezoning. Actually, he's asked for his to be rezoned also to a B. That's the
Okay.
oral surgery center.
So,
What's the street address? Is that in this memo?
It's in it.
Okay.
yeah.
It's in the.
So, has anybody had any contact with Dollar Bank?
Yes, I represent Dollar Bank. They filed an application for rezoning.
Okay, they did. Okay, so it's everybody in that stretch from School Road down to the get-go,
Yeah, we still don't have it up there.
which is that is the section that's right now zoned MU, and you want to change the whole
5 of them to B.
5 to, yeah. There's some discussion from the staff about, when you look at the zoning map, there are 4 or 5
Looks like 5
parcels to the
west.
west of School Road that are in similar straits. They are zoned MU, and the question is, should they be rezoned as well, even though they are not part of the application?
I can't speak for them. That none has expressed an interest in doing that. Of course, one is the church,
Yes,
the Lutheran Church.
and they own,
PNC Bank.
They also own PNC Bank now, but they want to use that in a different method than the church. They want to use that as a community center where meetings like AA meetings or birthday parties where you can rent that and have a party there, and other kinds of functions like that. daycare center, things of that nature.
There you go.
Yeah. So we have the church's parking lot down there. And
Right.
the office, is that the church office?
No, you're going this way.
No,
Now we're talking about going this way.
From,
Oh, that way. Yeah,
on the north
I'm not
side
sure what that is.
of Old Wayne Penn, which is to the bottom half of the screen from right to left, would be Get-Go, the doctor's
Bank.
office, or the bank, the doctor's office, the original proposed rezoning, which would be Choice Auto. Community center is identified, that's Lutheran. Then the Lutheran Church, the Solomon office, the parking lot for the Lutheran Church, a vacant parcel, and a residential parcel, which is above the shopping center.
okay. We have not had any contact with any of those folks.
No, we have not. I just brought this to the Planning Commission for purposes of discussion.
Okay. Well, it seems to me that I think everybody's, I don't want to speak for everyone, but it seems like we're kind of all in favor of rezoning
Those
the
parcels between the
parcels to
highways.
the east of School Road, changing that. Is everyone in agreement with that?
Yeah,
Yes.
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 Okay. So it's just a procedural question, I think, at this point. What's everyone's thoughts on the 5 pieces to the west of School Road?
Well-
That's basically across from the school
Right.
school
Correct.
property.
I guess the only one that stands out as being different is the one that's considered residential. What's the situation with that?
I don't
It's a
know.
residence?
Yes, I believe that is occupied as a residential structure.
So
And
could
it's-
we even change that zoning?
Even if the zoning was changed on that though, Jim, that would be an existing non-conforming use.
That's correct.
They would be able to sell it to a future homeowner as long as the use continued, or sell it to a business.
Business, right?
Within 1 year, that's correct.
What's the qualification, 1 year, Jim?
That's.
The non-conforming.
Yes.
Oh, within 1 year of the time of sale?
It'll become a non-conforming lot if we change it to business, because it's residential.
But wait a minute.
Well, it's mixed use now.
Right.
It's mixed use now,
But which
so
residential's allowed.
actually the residential is probably non-conforming.
Already.
If the use ceases for a 1-year continuous period, you lose the right to continue that use. That's the problem with the 3 that we came initially for. PNC and Standard are both financial institutions. They're prohibited in the mixed use, but they were non-conforming uses at the present time.
So they were
Same
allowed
with
to
the car
stay.
lot. If it remains vacant for a 1-year period, it can't be a car lot again. Of course, I don't think the owners want it to be a car lot because they just built a brand-new one down the road. So, and PNC, of course, has been vacant. That use has expired. So that use can't continue. They can't put a building, a bank, financial institution back in that building unless you change it to a B, but that's not the intent.
Well, so we could pass on to council with a recommendation we recommend approval of the initial 5 lots to the east of School Road, since that's an application, and consider the lots to the west. Could consider that for further study, or we could recommend to council that they change that zoning as well.
Well, the zoning recommendation can originate at the Planning Commission, and that was the purpose of bringing it up this evening, was are we creating a spot zoning situation there by beginning to switch these other properties over to the B district?
Doesn't look like it, because it's B on 3 sides of all those parcels.
That's correct. So the church and the office and the parking lot would be an island within the B zoning district.
And that's spot zoning,
The question could be raised.
right? And that's what we're trying to avoid.
That's why I brought it to the planning commission tonight.
But no one's talked to the people to the west.
That's correct.
Yeah, the thing I wonder about is there any unintended hardship that you impose on the people that have a residence? That's the question. And are you saying that there's a way around that, but would they see it that way?
It wouldn't, what I'm saying is it wouldn't prevent them from selling the house to someone that also wanted to use it as a residence. Now, you know, the impacts of if there are, you know, more intrusive commercial businesses that go in the properties next to them. I mean, that church has been there forever, but
Yeah.
who knows? I mean,
Yeah, and,
The church is a permitted use in the B district.
yeah. So the only ones that really.
But it's
if-
not in a B district, it's been in the MU district.
Yeah,
But if
that's
it
the
was
point,
changed
but
to
it
the
Right.
wouldn't make any changes
Correct.
to them. The only thing is the little office that's there.
Might
Would
make
be a
it more
B
valuable.
district. That's eligible.
Does the church own the vacant lot?
Which vacant lot?
The one that's to the west, the one that's next to the residence?
No, Ferry owns that one also.
Who?
Ferry. He owns the residential structure and the vacant lot.
Oh, okay.
Ferry owns the residential structure.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay.
So, to the planning commission, do we wish to recommend that everything on the south side of Old William Penn from the get-go
School Road,
to School Road and from School Road to, I guess, the large ferry parking, shopping center
right.
be rezoned as well? So in other words, we get rid of all the green on south of Old William Penn.
I'm fine with that.
It's logical.
Yeah, I mean, I have no,
Anybody? object?
We're gonna be.
Do you need a motion?
yeah, we're gonna be logical.
We're going to be logical? Okay, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we,
Oh, hold on, man.
no,
If
Hold
you
on,
go that route, you gotta schedule a public hearing
okay, then I make a motion, we schedule a public hearing.
in conformance to the MPC guidelines.
That's what we have to do then.
That's what we have to do? Okay.
You forgot to say repeat after me.
Okay, so we want to schedule the public hearing and then hear everybody. Is there a motion?
Do you need a motion to do that?
Yes.
I make a motion, we schedule a public hearing.
Second and third. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now, we will notify,
All property owners will be notified and the properties will be posted as part of the
Okay,
advertising requirement.
and do we have a provision that everybody within so many feet be notified of the rezoning? Is it 200?
Notified on ours, all the property owners within 200 feet of our intent already.
But we have to post and notify, right, for the public hearing.
So is this public hearing going to hold up his end of the,
No, because he's got to do
He's
that
still gonna go
anyway.
through a public
you
hearing
have to do
anyhow.
that anyway, okay.
Okay. So can we schedule the public hearing for next planning commission meeting?
I'll have to look at the timing requirements. I'm not certain.
30 days.
May not be. I'll have to check the calendar, see. How about the motion be at the earliest possible date?
Earliest possible day.
Everybody agree with that amendment to the
Yes,
motion?
we
Okay.
agree.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thanks for not putting me to laugh.
Okay. Next item is Kistler Place. Let's see, where's that at?
It's always fun following Mr. Hergenritter.
Yes.
To be honest, my first ever project I ever did was Walnut Hollow years ago, and I followed him. So,
So where is the,
We're in Kistler, yeah.
The back one,
back,
there you go.
go back to?
Yep. Back again, you gotta go back again.
Uh,
Mag-
Okay. Go ahead, Chris.
Good evening. My name is Chris Ham with KDH Consulting Engineers. We've been working on this particular parcel for a couple years now. Probably a year or so ago, we got it rezoned from B to MU to allow the proposed use we have right now, which would be first floor, I think we're calling it retail, business retail, and second, like boutique business retail, and then second floor would contain 8 two-bedroom apartments. It's located at Kistler Road and Route 22, kind of the fill area that PennDOT created years ago whenever they widened 22 out.
Do you have a memo from the staff?
I do. We looked through that.
There seems to be a number of items missing.
There's no
Or
date on that
outstanding.
memo.
Pardon me?
There's no date on that memo.
It's an undated memo.
Okay. I just want to make sure I had the right one.
The one in the Dropbox.
Right.
Looking through the memo, it's at least to us, it appeared the majority of it is just some additional, a lot of it's additional, some titles, some signature blocks. We do have to update our, it would be one of the things was our air quality, I can't remember what you guys actually call that, air quality report or air quality statement, environmental statement. The one item that did come up that we definitely did want to discuss a little bit was on one of our previous review letters. The request was made, or part of the ordinance stated that there shall be garages placed for the residential portion of this, the eight units. And I remember whenever we first came in and we spoke about this about a year ago, it was, I believe, this board's feeling that we did not need garages. We did show them, but one of the requests from the reviewer was if we are going to put garages, provide a little bit more architectural detail on what those garages are. So I guess one of the questions we're looking for is direction on the garages, which they would be placed in basically.
Okay, we do have that in the Dropbox.
That's not me pointing at it.
It's up there.
Yeah, it'd be along the backside of the building. The entrances for all the apartments are on the backside of the buildings, with stairs leading up.
How many apartments are there?
8.
How many parking spaces you got back there?
We have 11 along the back row, and 8 would be undercover, is what we have proposed right now.
When you say undercover, would that be like a carport?
We are proposing a carport. The reviewer requested some additional architectural standards on what that exactly would look like. So that's one of the items we'd at least like some input from the Planning Commission.
I believe the requirement is the garage, and as to what the definition of a garage is not a carport, or is a garage a carport, or is a carport a garage?
Would that be in our definitions by chance?
A garage? I doubt it very much.
Got all kind of definitions for all kind of other crazy things.
Self-understood.
Yeah. I put my car there. Yeah.
Well, I would think a garage would be some sort of an enclosure.
Enclosure, yeah, with a door.
With a door.
Yeah, a carport would be an open,
Would be open.
with overhead roof with an open sides.
Well, let's ask this question. Is a garage required?
That's what it states in the review.
Yeah, but let's
Where are
look,
they getting that?
which section's that?
That's like masks are required.
The briefing.
Or a rope around your neck?
Right now, on the one drawing, it says number 20 is carport.
Yes, we call it out as a carport.
Section 22069 is what's referenced here.
22069, and what does 22069 say?
It says, per this subsection, one of the 2 residential parking spaces required shall be in a garage. I don't have the whole copy of the ordinance, just what they've quoted here.
So for each unit, one
Garage.
garage.
But we weren't sure how that fell. It said I think when we were here before, there was kind of some discussion on, with the term residential, not so much the one of two residential parking spaces shall be required in the garage. If these are apartments, because I don't believe within the ordinance, it would require an apartment building, you have a 30 unit, to have a 30-car parking garage.
Yeah. What about Marquee Point?
Marquee Place has garage parking.
Underneath.
Okay.
I think it centers around, is a carport a garage?
That kind of falls then to our second question. It seems like we answered the first, that some type of garage is required, one per space. The second would be, what are we considering a garage?
What does Webster say?
Well, Google says carports are metal structures that can either be covered with fabric or roof. Most carports are detached from your home and have at least one side open. Usually, garages have 4 walls, a roof, and are either attached to your house or a freestanding structure. Okay, I mean, this is just Google, so.
The ordinance doesn't define a private garage. or
Does?
Public garage.
It does not.
It does not.
Well, let me ask you this. So you show a carport with, and what was that, just a roof?
I think the intention would be 3-sided. Or,
Three-sided for all 8 of them.
yeah, it'd be three, like it wouldn't be individual, each individual, there'd be.
It wouldn't be divided.
So it's almost like a garage, except it doesn't have a door on it.
Yes.
But it has no intervening walls. It has no separator walls.
No, but there's nothing, I know in the ordinance, there's nothing that says you have to separate the garage. Each unit has to be in its own separate garage.
Well, there'd be some type of support in there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
well,
it's not-
like when
it's
you
not
put
very deep. There's not much of a
for instance,
span.
Marquee Place, there's a big garage down there, but each
Oh, yeah,
space
yeah,
is not separated by a wall. It's
Right.
all enclosed.
And to match the aesthetics of the building, the 3 sides, would match the proposed siding that we put on the actual
You may not have to have
mixed-use building.
need age.
So it's just a matter of dividing it and adding doors and all
Yeah.
that is what we're trying to get clarification on. And if we had to do a garage, it just sounds like we do.
Proposed snow load would dictate.
It sounds like, of course, that's the definition under Google, that it has.
Yeah, I mean,
And by, like Mike mentioned, we called it a carport mostly because we didn't want to define it as a garage with garage doors and separate spaces, but it wouldn't be I don't think the intent would be to go to Carolina Carports and order 8 metal carports to stick in the back. It would be a
it would
defined
be
structure.
one Carolina carport.
One large.
I mean, they make them.
Okay, so would the individual spaces have a dividing wall between the spaces?
Just,
Well, you're gonna need something to hold the roof up.
Right.
yeah. There'd be the supporting structure across the front. It might, depending on how it's laid out, it might be every space or every 2 spaces.
How wide are those spaces?
9 feet.
That's tight.
That's probably too tight with supports in between.
But the township requirements,
For residential are 9 foot.
Yes.
And you consider most individual garage doors are
Right.
8 foot.
So,
This could be an issue because it's in the zoning ordinance, it can't be waived, would require variance.
Yeah, so, but
I don't think we're looking, if it's in the ordinance and it requires a garage, we're not requesting to waive the garage. We're, I guess right now, looking for
Guidance on
what a garage is.
what a garage is.
Do we need to get a legal opinion on that?
Oh, well, let's see what Webster says.
Chuck just left.
Webster doesn't, Webster says
Oh, wait a
nothing.
minute.
We have another legal opinion.
What do you think?
Webster says nothing. I have a Webster up. It says a shelter or repair shop for automotive vehicles. This is the one I like best. A cabinet with a vertical rolling door that's used to store small kitchen appliances.
Oh,
The first definition of a noun is a building or indoor area for parking or storing motor vehicles.
so it doesn't say it has to have a door.
It says indoor.
Indoor
Doesn't that
means has to have a
imply it?
door.
I'm sorry?
It says indoor.
Oh, it said indoor.
Yeah.
Indoor
So
area.
that implies four
Implies
walls. Four something.
Sides.
Well, I could see, I could see it with each space having 3 walls. The door having, how many, 8?
8.
Eight doors across there. I don't know, it's to be a bit much.
Well, I just looked, the definition of a carport says that it has to be completely open along at least 2 sides. So what you're describing wouldn't be a carport.
But is it a garage?
What's the, what do you think, what was the zoning intent there, Jim? You have any idea?
Other than they didn't want probably canvas carports.
All right, let me throw this out. What would happen if you allowed call it a carport, I'm going to call it a garage, it's enclosed on 3 sides, it has a roof, and there's a dividing wall between each unit. The only thing that's missing then is a garage door.
Yeah, but you know what? If you,
Is that a garage?
but here's the problem, Bob. If that's 9 feet, you're not going to get out of the vehicle.
Right.
You know, you're going to pull your car in and you're not going to be able to get out. You crawl out through the back
That's what I
window.
was talking about, having the supporting walls, and if they're on the 9 foot,
Right.
Because with that scenario, would have supporting posts maybe every 18 feet, so you'd drive past those, but you'd still have the full
You have a wall.
side whenever you, yeah. If you didn't put the wall in, you'd still have the full width inside because you wouldn't have.
How's your total parking requirement here? Do we-
Right there,
No, for the whole thing.
46
right there.
required, 46 provided.
There's no wiggle room.
There's no wiggle room.
See, the problem that I have, that I see practically with having a common open space like that is, you better hope these aren't the people that go to church, at least my church, because they don't know how to get between the white lines. And they're 10 foot, I think.
right? Well, yeah, the old spaces are 10
So
foot.
I just can't imagine how practical it would be to have a 9 foot space where you're relying on people to hit the middle.
But yet the
I mean, in all honesty, if we had agreed to put a door on this, it goes away because it's still the parking spot's a 9 by 18 requirement, so we can build the garage 9 by 18 interior because it meets the zoning ordinance for the size of the parking stall.
That's true.
I didn't write the ordinance.
Well, that's what we're asking them to meet the ordinance,
Right.
and we're worried about people's cars. Yeah, that's
I'm-
fair.
I'm thinking of the practical standpoint too of the tenant. You know, you put the door on, make it a traditional garage with 4 sides. They're gonna use it as storage, and then where are they gonna park? They're gonna park around front, and that'll impede the commercial businesses. So opening it, I think they would use it more than if it was closed. It would just turn into storage.
storage unit, yeah.
No, that's a practical reality.
That's
You're
right.
right.
They're 2-bedroom apartments. There's 2 bedrooms, a living room, and a dining room kitchenette. The floor plans should have been provided. So they're not large units. So like Mike mentioned, I think if it does have doors on it, it's going to become a storage unit.
You're right.
So we could use one of the definitions that says it's a place to store your car. There's multiple definitions out there.
But we'll go back to what Ryan said about what is the intent of the ordinance? What is the basic intent? Was it to prevent was it to prevent an long open space in the front? You know, from an appearance standpoint, what was the basic intent?
I don't know. I don't think I was here when we wrote that.
That
Were
gets
you here,
then
Bob?
into parking garage.
Probably, but I don't recall what it said. What's the average width of a car? 6.5 feet?
6.5 feet. Because anything over 8 foot is considered a wide load, so.
Yeah. So that gives me 6.5. I got 2.5 feet, assuming they pull in the center.
6 to 6.5.
Okay. So it seems to me that if you did not have the demising wall between them,
You'd have a lot of room to more room to open up the doors once you pull.
well, yeah, because it's just like any
Parking stall.
parking stall then.
They'd just have to make sure you wouldn't hit the support when you first pull in.
Yes. Well, you're going to have to.
Better make that out of block, or put a bollard there.
Or put a steel post.
I'm serious. You should put a
Ballers in
bollard
front
there.
of them.
The provision is found in the table of parking requirements, and it's a requirement for all multifamily units. 2 parking spaces for each unit, one of which shall be in a garage.
In a garage.
In a garage, yeah. Now, I would think that what the intent would be there to have the vehicle, have parking in a covered space.
Well, using that logic, I would say that if you have a roof and the thing is enclosed on 3 sides, sort of implies that that's a.
I think the trouble with this is that it's part of the zoning ordinance, and any variant from that's going to require a variance on it. I would prefer, given the type of the building and the type of unit that they're proposing, is not to have any covered space, because he's right, it's going to turn into a storage area. It's just going to be a junky looking place eventually. If you're going to require 2 parking stalls for each unit, then have parking stalls.
So
Okay,
that
but if-
requires them to get a variance.
That would require a variance from the ordinance, though.
So if that seems like the most practical path, can we suggest that to them? And I guess the other
But
thing
I
is,
think I would have a hard time arguing a hardship.
They're not going to get a variance on it because there's no hardship.
That's the zoning hearing board, and that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
Well, it seems to me that's subject to an interpretation since we don't have anything here. And so is a 3-sided structure with a roof, is that a garage?
it's called a
We
lean-to.
have all these weighty
carport
things that we have to
I think
decide.
it's called a lean-to.
2 sides, right?
2 sides.
Maybe the way to do it is if the lease or covenants on the apartments could require that there be no
No storage.
storage.
And then require doors? No?
I wouldn't put doors on it. And how are you ever going to know if it's storage then?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we are considering a 3-sided structure with a roof that contains 8 parking spots.
And I would suggest the architectural design be harmonious with the proposed
Yes,
building.
yeah, that I don't think that's an issue. And with the provision that the lease contains a provision for that there's no storage other than
Vehicles
other than
only.
a vehicle.
Inspected vehicles only.
Yes.
serious.
Something in a lease that's enforceable, that should be approved probably by the municipal solicitor.
You can worry about that detail. I think that's what.
I think what's going to be challenging for them is that it sounds like the space they're working with is really, really tight. That is, they're right up against it, and if they have to have, CMU ends,
We probably could gain a couple feet through there, so we can ensure that it is a full 9 feet on each one. We can't get a whole nother parking spot across the back.
I'll just, I've been doing this for 20 years, property management, and had garages and shared, so our lease to that point does speak to, this would turn more into common space without divisions. It would just be an open 3-wall structure to store your car, and with common space, then all that stuff of your items lost, stolen are your responsibility. It kind of alleviates the problem of getting it too junked up when you're sharing it with 8 people open, without dividers, because then it kind of falls under our shed kind of lease that we have, that a shared space, I should say. When you're sharing with other people, it's like if you have shared laundry, they're not storing their bikes in the shared laundry. They're not storing their stuff, and so I think we can alleviate. And the actual structure for bikes specifically, with the bike path and all that, because that's desirable. Their entranceway underneath the stairs has storage, and it's specifically set for bikes, and it has some storage. So we do have some storage of part of the apartment below the stairs, and it'll just be like, that is what that's. Now that one's not allowed. They don't have to worry about cutting grass, so no combustibles, and the lease is pretty thorough with what you can store and what you can't store, under that. And then this would be more common area where you could park your car if you choose. I mean, they could park in the front if they don't choose to use this spot. It won't be like required for them to park there or not, but I think it'll be easier to keep neat and clean if it's open and not divided. That would be the other side of why we went down I won't call it a carport anymore, why we went down the open garage path.
There you go. You just solved your own problem.
It's an open garage.
if you pay it 3 times, in today's world, it works. It's true.
Okay, so,
Okay.
okay, it sounds like we have a direction here. What else in this memo
We got to go through this.
is, there's something about putting the geotech report recommendations shall be followed on the plans.
And
Yeah,
part-
we'll add
part of
that,
the
we'll add the
developer's
notes to the
agreement.
plan. There's a few items with, we have to touch on the traffic impact study. Have our traffic engineer update a couple items on that. The stormwater was, for the most part, approved. We have a couple calculations for some of our riprap outlets that the review engineer would like to see.
The items should be highlighted on the.
They are
They are-
highlighted.
They're highlighted. Jane's just following along.
I'm saying we need to look at each one. I mean, that's highlighted. So if we're.
Well, the question is there anything major in here? They're going to have to do all of this, provide a report,
Right.
put the note on the drawings,
Yeah.
sign and seal the plans.
Geotech report is referenced as in the developer's agreement. That's important.
Then obviously the third-party approvals.
Just for, I guess for the matter of the record, this property was rezoned to
Right.
mixed-use zone to accommodate a mixed-use structure, not a mixed-use development. The mixed-use development is part of the general overlay district there. It does not take away from the underlying zoning district, which is MU, and as a result would permit mixed-use structures.
Jim, along those lines, I was just looking at that comment. Mixed-use structure is permitted in the mixed-use district, but it's indicating here that because this is also defined as a mixed-use development, they require conditional use application?
I did not consider it as a mixed-use development.
Okay.
It's similar to our oil and gas overlay district over in RR district. We don't require somebody building a home meeting the requirements of the overlay district for oil and gas development. So that's how I interpreted it,
Okay.
as a mixed-use building permitted in a mixed-use zone, but impacted by an overlay district.
Okay, so has anybody gotten any further along here?
The only other major one that I saw was the, I can't find it now, but the buffer between the public right-of-way.
Yes, we currently show 9, and I believe it should be 10.
That's correct.
And I think we were asking for some relief.
To the rear?
Towards 22.
What drawing number is that?
Two- 22051, oh yeah, you're there.
D1.0.
Well, the comment is that if it's modifications required or has to be requested to council.
But the modification would be in this area. We're 9 feet off of this front property line with our driveway, or I'm sorry, our parking, and we're requesting a 1 foot. Because at the nearest point, you can see you actually have a fairly wide right of way coming down. This is the edge of 22. Right. And this is actually our property line here. It's a variable width right of way down there. And at this point, which is the closest place, we're actually, I believe it's 26 feet off the back of curb
Yeah, that's,
to our property line. Then plus, the closest our parking gets to the actual 22 is,
it'd be down quite a bit.
yeah, we're quite
Down
a bit
in
lower than
elevation.
22 as well.
The risk of being booed out of the room here, can we go back to the
The garage.
garage again? Is that oriented towards 22, the open side of that
Yes.
building?
It's behind.
It's behind the building.
So you're not going to see it from 22?
No.
No, it's way below.
It's on the same side, so they can come straight out of their car and walk towards the doors.
Just clarification.
Yep.
From 22, if you were standing on 22, which part of the building would you be hitting if you had a straight plane off of 22? Would it be the middle of the roof or?
Probably the middle of the building.
At Kistler, you'd probably be hitting about the first, probably the second floor. On the far end, if you travel towards Rick's, you'd probably be
Well,
almost clearing the building in some.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be seeing much from 22.
Right.
And the front of the building, if I remember correct, has a front, like a fake parapet, just to try and block some of the.
Actually, it goes around, the one large one in front of the building, but the whole building has a parapet too to cover any mechanicals on top of the roof to help with that sight line.
There's another one here about the lighting. We needed to.
Yeah, I think we need to add, I did see with the lighting, we have to add some additional, that was, I know that some more details on the lighting
Details,
standards.
no details. So did
Yeah.
you provide a photometric plan?
We did.
And is there a light fixture shown on there and height?
There is I believe the fixtures are on there, but the bases are not.
Okay.
Did, I'm going to have to check to see if the design of the poles are on that property.
If they have to be the
22 style poles.
22 style poles, all right.
And you can,
Those are the green ones?
yeah. Mhm. And we can provide you with the cut sheet for that.
Okay, so so two parts that shall be in a garage. Okay, carport is not a garage. Okay, we beat that to death.
It's the little ones that get you, isn't it?
It's always the details.
Well, that's what this is all about. So have you submitted your E&S plan to anybody?
No, we wanted to at least get through this point. We typically it's like to get through at least this first review.
Is the affected area more than an acre?
Yes. Well, yes. The top side's about a little under an acre, but what pushes us over is the sanitaries at the bottom of the hill, and where our stormwater discharge point's at the bottom. So technically, we are over
So
slightly.
you're gonna need an NPDS permit.
And the stormwater and everything's designed to meet the MPDS permit requirements.
Something about roof drain information.
Just they wanted to ensure that the roof drains were tied into the storm sewer system.
And they shown on the plans?
They are. They just needed. We have to provide some additional labeling.
Okay. They're looking for some calculations on the discharge to the pond.
Yeah, that would be these two aprons coming into the pond. The backside of the property actually doesn't have catch basins. We're using curb cuts because everything's just sloping away from the building towards the back of the parking lot, and then we have just open curb cuts in the curb with an asphalt apron leading into riprap stone apron that goes to the bottom of the pond.
Okay. It sounds like there's a few items on the stormwater management end that need to be clarified. Disagreement. Okay. So it sounds like there are some housekeeping items on the plans. Some few more calculations are needed for the stormwater. One of the conditions of approval would be that an NPDS permit be obtained from the Conservation District. And we have the issue of the garage that is defined as a three-sided structure with a roof.
You want an architectural,
And we want an architectural,
I think we could definitely by council have at least some elevations of what that would look like.
okay, so the question is, the Planning Commission, are you prepared to forward this on to council with those items remaining? Or do you want to see these people again so you can see what the
Open
garage looks like?
I'm ready to move on.
Yeah, I was going to say that my gut feel tells me that you're better off going to council and just addressing this as an open garage and let that dog lie.
Right.
We will definitely change the label from carport to open garage and make sure we have some elevations to go with it.
And we from council will receive some input or advice or from the planning commission on that, what their opinion is?
Yes, we can cover that.
I'm assuming that's going to be 3-7 architectural to match the proposed building.
Yeah.
Well, we've progressed from definitions. Carport, I heard somebody say parking stall before. I mean, maybe that's a little bit of enclosure. Then a garage on the other end, now it's an open garage right in between.
Well, it's a garage without a door.
A doorless garage.
Okay. So what do we want to do here?
Somebody make a motion.
Yeah, pass it on.
You're
Go
gonna-
ahead.
go ahead.
You're the motion maker.
Want me to do it?
Yeah, you make sure you.
Okay. All right, Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we pass on to council with the Planning Commission's recommendation that all the items listed in yellow be addressed, that the applicant discuss with council the open garage issue. What else do we have?
Waiver
The light
landscaping.
standard,
Say
the light
again?
standards have to meet.
Landscaping.
The landscaping, 1-foot variance that you need,
1-foot modification.
1-foot modification,
That variance where it gets a little
that gets us in trouble.
legality.
I forget.
And the light standard,
And the light standards,
Be reviewed to see what's required.
right?
that the lighting pole meets the,
Oh, yeah, find
It
out.
meets the architectural standard.
Right.
Yeah, the lighting plan itself with the cutoffs, it's
It's which pole.
how we get the light up there.
right.
Okay.
There's a motion on the floor,
Second?
second. Are there any questions on the motion? Carl, is that recommendation in your mind sufficient for council?
I think we'll have a lot to chew on, but that being said, and also the consensus of the Planning Commission, we'll go with it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. All those in favor of the motion, say
Need a
aye.
second.
Oh,
I did.
He did
Oh,
second it.
okay.
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Thank you.
How long before you can clean up the drawings and address these comments?
Probably early next week.
All right, so I'll schedule, let's see, August.
Well, I'll say early next week, except for the traffic. It might be early next week, but I won't speak to the,
All
I can't
right.
speak for the traffic.
So the earliest you'll be on council is the 18th of August, or the latest be the 1st September. All right. That'll be dependent on the materials getting back here timely for review.
Thank you. Consider a recommendation, the next item on the agenda is a recommendation on S821, the Kodowitz/Neff subdivision. This is a minor subdivision of property located at 4016 Hills Church Road, tax map parcel 49-11-00-0-013, and I think there's also 1022 is where it comes from. So as I understand it, this is really just a lot line revision in a sense,
That's correct.
okay? And there's no outstanding items on it, Mr. Morris?
There's 3 or 4 items that need to be cleaned up. A signature and CO location on the plan. Need some clarification on the acreage. Property owner identified, and then setbacks identified. The engineer's been notified, so we're waiting for those cleanup items.
On the drawing where it says remainder, who owns that?
That's the one that's owned by 022, yeah.
I mean, that's not somebody's name.
Is it down below?
I think
there?
I
that was,
believe that's the Neffs.
that was one of the comments that,
Yeah,
The Neffs,
That's Neff's property?
so, yeah, that should say Neff.
yeah.
So we know.
That's
And
one
so
of the
parcel D is now going to become part of the
Kotoski,
Yes,
Kodowitz.
and Stampco. So that's now going to be one lot, 3.11 acres plus whatever the small lot with the small little yellow house is.
Yeah, there's a tabulation on there.
Existing 1.025, proposed parcel D 3.117, proposed total 4.1425.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think there's a question of the deed. The deed reference for the piece out front is it's slightly different from what the calculated area is.
Okay.
When they show that existing gas line, it says unknown easement. Does that mean it's not, there's an easement not appearing on the deed, or?
The easement is probably not identified who the owner is of the easement.
Well, it could be that a lot of the old gas line easements do not carry a width. They've just been given
Oh,
Farmer Brown just gave him an easement to lay a gas line across the property.
right.
Well, how does that impact future owners and what they can build and what they can do? I
Well,
mean,
they got 3.1174 acres. They
yeah, I
can
understand that.
do whatever they want. You're just you're talking hypothetically.
Yeah, I mean, can they go, what if they wanted to build a shed over there? What if they want to dig down? I mean, how does that person know that there is a gas line and how deep it is? Or can they just pile dirt on top of it? Are there restrictions?
I don't know who the owner of the easement is. If it's a utility company, you probably are a lot better off, but if it's someone who drilled a
Gas well.
conventional well, you have no idea.
And they're not required to respond to one calls.
Well, the protection for the landowner is the fact that it's on the deed, and that's as good as we get
So
here.
then they can't pile dirt on top of it?
They could probably pile dirt on it if they wanted to.
Take
No,
You don't want to build your kid's shed there.
Take the risk that you
Can't pile
have
dirt
to
on it.
You can't. No.
restore it, yeah.
So what's the constraint there? I mean, what constraints does the owner have?
If there's a recorded easement or an easement on a recorded plan and you construct a structure over it, you run the risk that if
You'd have to take it down.
yeah, if the owner of the easement needed to repair or replace something, you'd have to take it down.
But what if you have a gas line going through a property and people want to just pile dirt on top of it to just fill it up? Is that something they can do?
No.
Okay, so what constrains them from doing that?
The gas company or
The word,
whoever owns
the word
it,
easement.
it has an easement there. You're not allowed to interfere with that easement. You're not allowed to remove the cover or pile dirt on top of it.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Go ahead. You agree with that, Ryan?
No, I mean, again, the owner of the surface of the property could make changes to the surface, but they run the risk that if whoever has this easement comes in and wants to access the easement area, they gotta restore the property to the condition it was before they made any improvements. I mean, this easement either is recorded or was on a recorded plan, so it's public knowledge. It's not.
Okay,
I see those wheels turn, and there's something
Yeah.
else going on there.
there is, trust me,
know
there
that.
is.
Well,
I know that.
I'll tell you what happens in
I know.
practicality. If one of these guys wanted to make a subdivision back there, they would contact the gas company and say, okay, your easement width is undefined. What are you looking for? And they're going to come up with, well, we usually ask for 100 feet. And they say, well, that's nonsense. Doesn't say that. And you argue back and forth, and you come to some point where everybody agrees as to what the easement width is, and they can't build any structure within that easement. Same thing with if you wanted to run a road over top of it, you're piling dirt on top of it to make your road, or you're digging out. You have to get the gas company's approval, or if that's what it is a gas line? Yeah. To affect the easement.
Okay.
Okay? So what do we want to do with this?
It's pretty close to being
Yeah.
pretty well cleaned up, so move it on.
Move it along with, provided that these conditions are, okay. Somebody want to make a motion then?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we move on to council with our approval S821 Coates-Witz Neff subdivision with the changes that are noted in the briefing. And that is provide a place for the municipal engineer's signature and seal. The proposed plan shows parcel 4911-000-013 as 1.0251 acres. The deed shows 1.033. Please clarify. The information for the abutting property owner located southeast of the parcel is missing. Please revise. The owner information for parcel D and the remaining is missing. Please add this information to the map.
There's one more further on down.
No. Oh, setbacks are shown under site data, however, none are illustrated on the plan. Please revise the plan.
Is there a second to?
Second.
Second. Any questions on the motion? No. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 3, a discussion concerning Redstone Highlands request for review of density options on a proposed apartment development on Klein Hollow Road. Parcel 13 is 36.857 acres, currently zoned R2 on Klein Hollow Road. Someone here representing Redstone?
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Garcheski with the Gateway Engineers. I'm here representing Redstone Senior Presbyterian Care, and with me tonight is John Dixon of Redstone High. So, Jim, I don't know how much information you have available or provided to.
They got all the information you sent along to
Everything
me.
that I sent along? Okay. All right, so
Well, I think your intent, and then you can talk about the density and the zoning.
All right, excellent, absolutely. So, as you're all aware, Redstone Highlands is located along Klein Hollow Road. They currently operate with several facilities on campus. Over the last year and a half, we have diligently worked with Redstone Highlands on determining the development of the vacant piece of property that's located east of their current facility. It's a 36, as you mentioned, it's a 36-acre piece of property. It's currently vacant, currently wooded, and has topographically challenged as there's great changes in elevation. The existing campus, throughout that due diligence process, we looked at various renditions as far as the development for that piece of property, whether it be single-family villas, very similar to the offerings that they have at their North Huntington facility, townhomes, or the apartments use, which is what we're here to discuss today. So the existing campus is zoned R3. In the R3 zoning district, apartments are permitted use. As mentioned, the adjacent piece of property, the 36-acre piece, is zoned R2, in which the apartment use is not permitted. So we've looked at this a couple different ways. We talked to Jim on several occasions as far as clarifications within the ordinance. So we're here tonight just to discuss the possible options for the development of this piece of property. They include a rezoning piece of the property or utilizing the PRD characteristics of the municipal zoning ordinance. And the two characteristics within the PRD are to utilize to determine the maximum density utilizing the environmentally sensitive calculation, or just utilize the straight zoning calculation within the PRD requirements itself.
Okay.
Okay. So the first option, we could go ahead and just rezone the R2 piece of property to R3. Utilizing that, we would be permitted by right to build the apartments with a maximum potential density of 216 units. The other options are through the PRD, utilizing the environmentally sensitive calculations. We would be permitted to construct 47 units, or utilizing the straight zoning application under the PRD ordinance, we'd be permitted to build 80 units.
If the PRD under R2, you'd get how many units?
80.
80.
Yes. And those calculations are based off of the type of the use. In the R2, the base density zoning is based off of 20,000 square feet per unit, or 0.459 acres. So that calculation equates to approximately 80 units. And then within the R3 zoning district, where garden apartments are allowed, it's 7,500 square feet per unit, or roughly 0.16 acres per unit, which would allow us the total maximum of 216 units.
Okay. So, looking at the zoning map, is what's there right now. The only thing that is presently zoned R3 is the existing campus.
That's correct. Yes.
And the R2 goes all the way back to, what is that, Manor Oaks?
Yes.
Court.
Manor Oaks Court, and goes over to Apache and Sequoia, and I don't know what the name of that other street is. And then goes all the way over to Klein Hollow Road,
Which is R1.
which is R1.
Look at how the triangle there is B. At Redstone Highlands. Oh, no, oh, I know what that is. That's across from Giant Eagle.
Yeah, that's the wetlands.
Right, the dry wetlands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you're relying on the formula to determine the density under the R2 PRD option.
That's correct. Yes.
So you haven't done any actual topographic surveys, nor wetlands, nor steep slope analysis or anything?
To determine whether or not
You can get the
environmental-
80.
Yes. So utilizing the environmentally sensitive calculation, taking into account steep slope areas, parcel 13 is a hilly terrain.
Excuse me, I understand what you did with the density calculation. I'm saying that typically,
Field surveys.
the municipality requires a layout to demonstrate that you can feasibly
Get 80 units.
put 80, whatever the number was there, to determine the true density. In other words, the calculation's fine, but have you done any steep slopes?
Yes.
Yeah, it's in there.
It's in there.
Yes.
And but where did you get the topographic information?
It's LiDAR. It's flight topography.
Okay. Okay. So I didn't see that.
We have that in here?
Yes,
Yeah.
number,
No, this is the one
Three?
underneath.
Is that number three?
yeah, number 3.
Number 3.
Site layout.
It's not provided in any of the conceptual layouts. The calculations were provided as some of the additional information that we provided to you.
Okay, so you didn't actually do a,
There's not a steep slopes
You
map
didn't do a,
provided to you.
you didn't do a
No.
site plan with 80 single-family units on it.
No, we did those, but I mean, that's not what we're here to. We're not here to build 80 units. We're not here to build 2.
Yeah, but you have to prove to us that you could build 80 units.
well, I think the question they're asking, I think what you're asking is,
Which
should we
way?
go through and approve a PRD under the R2, or should we ask for rezoning? Is that where you're at?
Essentially, that's where we're at. So we're just asking direction for which way to proceed in this application process, whether we're doing the PRD utilizing the environmentally sensitive calculation or the PRD utilizing the base density calculation, which are both options are available within the ordinance, or do we take the route of rezoning? With obviously the rezoning, if we rezone that piece of property and Redstone didn't proceed to develop that piece of property, somebody could come in there and put 216 units.
Is there any other, where's this parcel has frontage on Klein Hollow?
It does.
So it's possible somebody could wind a road up there.
Yes. The intent for us Redstone is intending that any connections to Klein Hollow Road would be made through their existing facility. The intent is to build, the proposal that we would like to do is build 3 26-unit apartment buildings, totaling 78 total units, which we can't do that with the environmentally sensitive calculations because we can't fit, 47 units. It's almost considered that the 47 units would be 47 individual units. We're proposing 3 buildings.
Okay, but you could, how many you want to build, 78?
72. He said 26 times 3, correct?
78.
78 times 3,
Yes.
78.
I thought he said 72. 78.
Okay.
26.
So, and you think under the zoning for, if you did a PRD R2 development, you believe that you could show there's 80 units.
Based off the calculations available within the ordinance, yes. There's two options for determining this calculation, the environmentally sensitive, or based off the recommendation from the Planning Commission, I could use the base density calculation, utilizing 20,000 square feet per acre.
That's not,
Speak. Well, okay, you know, you've been around the block a few times. You know the danger of proceeding down the R3 route.
That's why we're here today.
You know, the only thing that's R3 here is where the Redstone building is now. All these other single-family homes are all R2. You get into Manor Oaks, that's all R2, and across the street is R1. So that's going to be a tough sell, I think, to have R3 with R2 beside it and R1 across the street. That's just my opinion.
And, you know, echoing on that, you know, you pointed out the danger in rezoning. It can always be sold off to somebody else who's going to then
Put in
God
knows what.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's why we're here today. I mean, there's three options on the table. I mean, half the least of resistance is to go to the PRD utilizing the base density calculation. We don't really want to go through the rezoning process. It pulls in a lot more things on the table that we don't really want to discuss or go over or present. But under the PRD option, we would still meet all of the requirements of the PRD, the open space, the active recreation. You've seen the plan. I mean, we could put the plan up there as well, but the buffers, I mean, we're not even disturbing over 50% of that property.
What, Jim, could you put up the...
Yeah, I'm sure there's people that would like to see this.
This is just a concept plan.
Yes, absolutely.
It's- So it's three buildings, 2 stories.
With garage underneath.
That's a-
We would meet that requirement.
And we thought that.
and a clubhouse building.
Clubhouse and a maintenance building, yes.
Okay,
Garage is actually below grade.
okay. So,
Your want is to build 3 buildings. And there's a couple different options here. Looking to build 3, that's the
Yeah, we've provided our iterations. The rezoning process, we would comfortably fit 5 buildings on there, or 140 total units. We provided another option showing 4 buildings, 140 units. This is what we've landed on, spacing it out evenly throughout the piece of property. 3 buildings of 26 apartment buildings, or 26 apartment units in each, with approximately 44 garage spaces below the building, 12 outside of it. Basically utilizing that piece of property as topographically best as we could. We looked at, like I mentioned, utilizing the straight zone, and we looked at 80 units up there and the single-family villa option. The infrastructure improvements, the amount of earthwork associated with the project was well over $1.5 million. It's not a public improvement that Redstone would want to put in for the type of use and offerings that they have on their current campus. The expansion of the senior living, the independent living is what they're after, and they feel that this is the best option on the table for them.
is the existing campus, is that all independent living?
Mm-mm.
But this would all be independent living? Yeah, sir.
You have to use a microphone.
Okay, thank you. Kind of highlight the structure itself. As Jonathan has mentioned, there's underground parking, there is accessibility to the underground parking, by a parking garage, so people aren't fighting inclement weather. They get out of their car, they go to a common hallway. That common hallway provides them an elevator up to their floor. Again, it's 26 units. It's a mixture of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom options currently. The design is going to be a Frank Lloyd Wright-ish design, so you're going to see, heavy stone work, and we're going to try to do interiors to complement that type of design work as well. We would be doing this in phases, and we want to kick off with the roadway, obviously in phase 1 to include the clubhouse, and then the first structure itself. And then we have an area where we've designated a maintenance garage for assistance of that location for, snow plowing and things of that nature. So
I'm looking at your renderings. There's two renderings that I have.
okay,
Neither one of them show garages. Are the garages going to be on
underground.
the downhill side?
they're underground.
And if you go, I think it's the last 2 pages of that PDF.
Yep.
Oh, this would be the uphill view, which
Right.
is the first 2 stories, and those are all apartments. This
Okay.
would be the downhill view,
And where's,
and it's a pull-in garage from the side. So on the
okay,
right-hand side would be the garage door.
I got you. So
Everything's
you're
all
not going to
underground.
see a bunch of outside garage doors.
Correct.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, well, it sounds like you sort of answered your own question. You only want to build 78. You think you can do a PRD without a rezoning and prove that you can get 80 units? Why go through the hassle of an R3?
We wanted to make sure that the planning commission was amenable to utilizing the alternate density calculation rather than utilizing the environmentally sensitive calculation.
You have to explain that to me. I don't understand. I thought that they have to provide a plan that shows that they could build 80 units.
We can request that. We always request it.
We always request that.
We always request it. So what's the problem with that?
So the environmentally sensitive, I have to take out steep slopes, wetlands, and floodplain areas, right? Okay, so when I take those areas out of the overall total property acreage of the 36 acres, it reduces me to 26 odd acres. That, at the 22,000 units per acre, only permits us to build 47 units.
Well, that's what you're going to have to do.
30.
I have 10 acres of steep slopes, essentially.
Okay, so you're down to how many? What's the net?
26.
26.
26 usable acres.
And so you divide that by,
0.459.
and it only gives you 40-some.
7, yes. So the alternate option within the PRD zoning ordinance is to utilize the base density.
I don't think we've ever done that. Have we?
I don't think it's allowed.
I don't think it is either.
It's right there.
Right there.
Okay.
Item 2. Or
2, submit a plan showing how the development under conventional zoning. That's what we're talking about.
Right. That's what we want you to do. That takes out the steep slopes.
yes, so yeah, I'm asking if that's an acceptable option.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's-
absolutely.
Yeah, I think maybe we got a little confused with the terminology.
I was
you used.
confused.
Okay.
You know, we look upon it as either a calculation or a plan,
Understood.
you know, a conventional zoning plan. So if
Which
you,
would, yes, it would be a conventional zoning plan, meeting and still adhering to all of the other PRD requirements.
Right.
yeah. If you can do that and prove that you can get
40.
80 units, then it's permissible.
That's, I just wanted a clarification to make sure we were heading down the right path before Redstone moving forward and submitting the hard engineering with the PRD application and so on and so forth.
Do you have any, do you see this any differently,
Are we
Mr.
clear?
Morrison?
No,
Oh, what?
no, I'm not seeing it any differently.
Okay.
But I was also
thought I was
confused when they went
confused
off on
here.
the 2 option.
Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, it's Murrysville, we always require the plan.
Right, so, I mean, we were here just for discussion purposes, presenting our intentions and ensuring that we were moving down the right path related to the calculation of the PRD requirement. Wanted your involvement as soon as possible, just to make sure, we don't want to do all the work, submit it and say, well, that's completely wrong.
Right.
Doesn't benefit me at all.
Right.
Nor does it Redstone High.
I would advise, before you get too far along, that you come back for an advisory meeting once you have the layout of the 80 lots on that property.
So it's not going to be 80 lots.
Well, then.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
It's going to
Okay,
be,
so I have to provide a plan showing 80 lots
you were going to
That's
show
correct.
us a buildable subdivision
with 80 lots.
with 80 lots, steep slopes accounted for,
And wetlands.
stormwater accounted for, driveways,
Yeah.
everything.
Even though I only want to put 3 buildings up there.
That's exactly right.
That's right.
Under a
It's-
PRD
it's-
requirement.
It's just the only purpose is to demonstrate how many units you can get.
Right. That's it.
The whole idea of this PRD ordinance, a little different from every other town's PRD ordinance. This is supposed to be density neutral to do a PRD. So,
To allow more open space.
yeah, so, all right? All right,
Yep, thank you very much.
Appreciate your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you.
Sure.
yeah. People in the back, did you have any questions or comments? No?
You have to come up to the microphone.
Give us your name and address, please.
My name is Stephanie Wedge, and I live at 5055 Sequoia. The reason a few representatives from our neighborhood are here is we were curious with the development what access should be anticipating as it comes through our neighborhood, because right now we have 2 or 3 cul-de-sacs that are dead end. There's no access into the neighborhood.
Well, right now, all they're proposing is access through their present development.
We were glad to hear that, but I understand the plans may change, so we're curious to just stay in.
I suspect that it is a possibility that when, I'm sorry, Chris, is it? Jonathan gets to work on his plan to show how many lots he may get, he may consider using some of those roads to prove that he can do a 80-lot normal subdivision plan. But obviously that's not their intent. That's just more of a showpiece. It's an exercise.
Understood. So we just wanted to be engaged. We appreciate you allowing us to be here because we wanted to stay close to it as it develops.
Okay, we'll just follow along in the newspaper and look for future agendas. All right, is there anything else for the good of the cause?
Nothing new?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Boy, that didn't take much.